I would like to introduce to you Marilyn Burns, our Vice President of Communications and Enrollment. She is going to bring a word of welcome to kick things off this morning.
Thanks so much, Sasha. And I always love being able to see everyone's faces. So I, I'm happy to see our beautiful architecture there. But it was great to see people popping up this morning. Despite the rain, it is always a beautiful day, as you can see here at our Peterborough campus and our Durham campus. And I wanted to give you a warm welcome to Trent. I think there's a lot of great news that you're going to hear shared today. The team is, as you know them well, many of you, a very helpful and top team who will give you lots of information. And I don't want to steal their thunder, but I did want to acknowledge our guidance counselors. What you do for your students is exceptional, especially in these exceptional times. And taking the time today to talk to us at Trent, we recognize how much that carves out of your day, so we will make it worthwhile for you. And I don't want to steal everyone else's thunder, but I think I will just mention a couple of things that I'd like to highlight before we get started. One of them, the fact that Trent has now ranked #1 10 years in a row as Ontario's #1 undergraduate university in the Maclean's rankings. And I think the other thing I'd like to emphasize is what's happening at our Durham campus is very exciting. I know you're going to hear from Scott Henderson today, and you'll hear a lot more about the new building and residence there. So that's something quite new that I'd like to say is just really developing well in the GTA, where we're seeing lots of growth and interest in what we're doing there. Finally, my third point would be that we are adapting just like you are adapting in these highly unique times. It is challenging these days, and we know it's tiring, lots of Zoom meetings, that kind of thing. Our multi-access term that we have started at Trent, we're just now surveying students to find out what went right for them, what didn't go well for them, and we're adapting and changing as we go as well. So I'm very eager to hear your thoughts at the end of the talking part of the session to get your input. And I thought I would put one thing out there for you. As you know, we're a team that likes to connect with you and be helpful. We're going to ask two things this morning, and if you can think about it over the next hour. One thing is, we would like to know one problem that you have that you think we can help you with. And we would be happy to put our thinking caps on and come back with ideas for you. And in turn, we're also interested in hearing your ideas at the end of today's session, particularly with regard to making contact with your students who are graduating this year. We'd like to hear from you any unique ways that you think that we can make that ultimate contact where we're starting a conversation with your students. As you know, we're not in your schools in person this year, and we haven't been at the universities fair, so we haven't had that touch point where Trent does what it does so well on the personal level. And we are going to put a kind of a prize offer out there. I actually wanted to hold up a sweatshirt, but I didn't have one in my office. So I think we've got something quite unique there. And if somebody comes up with some golden idea for us, we'll reward you in kind. But think about that, and I will hand it back to Sasha, Kevin, and Felicia here to make sure I don't take too much of the time today. But welcome to Trent, and thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you very much, Marilyn. I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce the rest of the team as well. We have an exciting lineup of Trenton representatives that I wanted to introduce to you. So you've just met Marilyn Burns, the Vice President of Communications and Enrollment at Trent. My name is Kevin Whitmore. I'm the Director of Recruitment and Admissions here at the university. Sasha Trivet, who will be the MC for the morning. She is the Manager of Student Recruitment. Eliza Nicholson, the Manager of Admissions, will be bringing an update from admissions a little bit later on. We have Jessica Lee, who is the Regional Manager of International Student Recruitment, and she'll be bringing some updates from Trent International. We also have some faculty members that are going to be joining us featuring some of our programs. So Dr. Stephanie Rutherford and Dr. Stephen Hill from the Trent School of the Environment will be bringing updates from the School of the Environment. And also last but definitely not least, Dr. Scott Henderson, who is the Dean and Head of Trent Durham GTA, our Durham GTA campus. He's going to be giving some updates on some new programs that are being offered at the Durham GTA campus as well. Sasha?
Thank you, Kevin. That's great. So it's over to me now, and just a quick note on the agenda. So what we have on deck for you today is what's new at Trent. So I'm going to talk about some of the new things that are happening, a couple of our new programs, and then we'll hear more new programs from our faculty a little bit later on in the day. I wanted to touch on the virtual opportunities and events that we have currently for your students, and happy for other suggestions, as Marilyn had mentioned earlier. And then we're going to go into our feature programs and hear from our faculty members, hear from Jessica from Trent International, and finish off with our admissions update and open it for Q&A at that point. So hopefully you're available to join us for the whole session. We're excited to have you with us here today. Feel free to put any of your questions or thoughts into the chat. If you're not familiar with Zoom, there is a chat feature there, and you can just click on it and enter a comment. From time to time, our coordinator of events, Felicia Birmingham, who you may see on the screen as well, and she's kind of doing all our back end for us. She may be able to post some great links in there for you if you have any specific questions. So keep your eye on the chat and feel free to chat there. You can also unmute your mic and ask questions if you like, especially for the Q&A at the end. We're happy to have your face on screen, and we're happy to hear your voices, or you can enter questions into the chat. Either way is great. So moving on, I just wanted to let everyone know, I was going through the list of counselors attending, there were some new faces and new names there for me. So I just wanted to ensure that you know a little bit about Trent. We have two beautiful campuses. There's our dynamic urban campus, the GTA Durham campus, located in the heart of Oshawa, Greater Toronto Area. And of course, there's our spectacular Peterborough campus, situated on the banks of the Otonabee River, which you can see with our beautiful ferry on bridge, just 90 minutes northeast of Toronto. And these campuses offer a different setting for students to choose from, but both really offer that same Trent dedication to academic excellence and the desire to foster a community of scholars grounded in diversity. We are pleased, as Marilyn mentioned, to be #1 in Ontario in the primarily undergraduate category for 10 years in a row. This is something we're always anxious when the Maclean's rankings come out, and so excited to see that we are there. This also means we are 6.2% top in the world for universities worldwide. And we're also really proud that our graduates get jobs. So 96% of our grads are employed within 2 years of graduation, which we're always very happy to say. Trent is growing and expanding. We have just over 11,000 students right now at both of our campuses. That's 8,750 undergraduates at Peterborough, 1,630 at our Durham campus, and that one is really, really booming these days. We have also 700 graduate students, 1,000 international students, and 380 Indigenous students. So there's lots of change and growth on our Trent campuses right now. One of the most exciting things that we're experiencing right now at Trent is the growth at our Durham campus. And our GTA Durham campus is really proud to be able to open its doors this fall to a new residence and academic building with state-of-the-art lecture halls and classrooms, as well as a 200-bed residence. We have a new dining hall and a revitalized student space and study spaces, hangout spaces for students. So we've just almost doubled the size of our campus actually within the builds that we have at that campus. And that's not all the growth that's happening. We have also purchased land to continue to expand. If you're familiar with the Oshawa area, we're continuing to expand north along Thornton all the way up to Highway 2. So very exciting, more growth coming. At our Peterborough campus, we've broken ground on a first of its kind professional forensics training facility. And the cool thing is it's designed by a Trent alum. So that's very nice to be able to involve our alum in all of the changes that are going on at Trent. The new facility is going to unite space for staging crime scenes. It's a facility for analyzing evidence and exhibits, as well as a classroom for reviewing and evaluating student performance. It's kind of modularly built so they can move walls and adjust depending on the needs of the students. It has like a garage lab because we know a lot of crime scenes happen in cars, so they can pull a car right in and analyze within there. They've got cameras installed everywhere, so the students can be watching as other students are actually doing all of the forensic analysis. And so very exciting, can't wait to get in there. It's coming along and it's all very green certified and is aiming to be the first zero carbon certification in Canada by the International Living Future Institute. So all great. With regard to our scholarships, we are once again delighted to be #1 in scholarships for Canada. And we wanted to just show our scholarship policy to you. We have a guaranteed entrance scholarship for students coming directly from Ontario high schools. And basically anyone coming in with 80% or higher is entitled to scholarship money. The higher the entering average, the more money that they're going to get. And this scholarship rolls over each year as long as students stay above 80%. So their entering average is the average that continues to roll over as long as they stay above 80%. So even if they came in at 90 and their marks dropped a little bit in their first year, so long as they stayed above 80, they would still be receiving the $2,500 per year over the 4 years. So that is a really nice scholarship policy, probably one of the reasons why we are #1 in Canada. We do have some prestigious scholarships as well. So these ones students have to apply to, but their value is quite great. So pretty much a full tuition coverage there. So the application deadline is April 1st. We invite students with an 80% or higher to apply for these scholarships. And a few other awards I just wanted to flag for you. If you have SHSM in your high school, please do invite your SHSM students to apply for the SHSM Award. It's a $2,000 entrance award, and it will go to one student who is Red Seal certified. Application is required, so we do want to see a little bit about why they believe their SHSM has helped them and prepared them for post-secondary education. And we offer an IB scholarship of $2,000. That is an entrance award as well. No application is required, but we will be looking at the IB grades, and it's going to be the highest IB grades that are applying to Trent. So great news on all our scholarships fronts. Now, with regard to what's available for your students on a virtual platform from Trent, we built a page of kind of one-stop shopping where students could come and see all our virtual opportunities. So you see at the bottom of the screen, trentu.ca/virtual. On this page, we offer a variety of things that students can do with us. They can sign up for a virtual presentation, hear from a recruiter and a current student. Those sessions are offered at least twice a day during the weekdays. And in the evenings as well, we do offer a 7 p.m. session. So there's lots of opportunity, different time slots for your students to register there. They can also connect one-on-one. They can book an appointment with a recruiter. And there's lots of different recruiters to choose from. So depending on their need, they can select the recruiter they want and have a one-on-one appointment. They can register for our virtual open house. They can download a view book. They can request information. They can come register for a in-person campus tour or check out our virtual tour opportunities. And of course, open house is the big thing that we want to drive everyone to. So our next open house event is coming up November 7th. It is for both campuses, and it is a virtual event on a Saturday. So we certainly invite you to invite your students to join us for this. I'm hopeful that many of you saw our fall preview request to share that information, post that on your Google Classroom and share it with your students. We will be doing the same thing again for the open house. So share to win one of 3 $100 gift cards. So please do share, watch your inbox. The invitations will be coming out soon for you to share this with your students. And we'll make sure there's like a little graphic there that you can post to your Google Classroom, or if you have scrolling screens, digital screens in your schools, you could post there or just announce. However, works best for your system. I know everyone is doing things a little bit differently this year, but there's 3 there. So congratulations to the fall preview winners and good luck to all of you. Perhaps you will be a lucky winner of one of the $100 gift cards. And of course, every time a student connects with us virtually, or if they come in person for a campus tour, they will be entered into a draw to win free first year tuition. And that's 2 draws, actually, 1 per campus. So there's always a winner at our Durham campus as well as at our Peterborough campus. So lots of opportunities there for students to win free tuition at Trent. Now, I just wanted to touch on a couple of the programs that are new or newish for us. And at our Durham GTA campus, policing and community well-being is still relatively new. And we developed this program in response to the need to change the ways that policing and enforcement takes place, and more thinking about preventative measures instead of correctional measures. And so it's working with social agencies throughout the community to deal with issues such as poverty and addiction. A lot of the courses are drawn from sociology, nursing, law, social work, child and youth studies, a variety of different areas. And previously, police officers and chief police from the surrounding communities were involved in the development of the program, and some of them are involved in the classroom teaching now. So placement opportunities in the upper years range from police agencies to Ontario Shores to Durham Region Air agencies, and with a great focus on community, youth, and engagement. So that's policing, and that program is growing and getting quite a bit of attraction. So we're excited about that one. As well, at our Durham GTA campus, we offer journalism and creative writing. Now, this program is based at Durham campus, and it is in collaboration with Durham College. So it is sort of a 2-in-2 program, but it's years 1 and 4 are offered at Trent University, and year 2 and 3 are offered at Durham College. And so throughout these years, there are classes at each campus, and students belong to both campuses. They earn a BA in Media Studies with a specialization in creative writing from Trent, and a diploma in journalism and mass media from Durham College. There's an internship in the 4th year with Durham College and a capstone project that focuses on one form of journalism for the students to specialize in. Now, moving to our Peterborough campus, we are offering chemical engineering, and this is a dual degree. So it's a dual degree with Swansea University in Wales, UK. So it's 2 years at Trent in chemistry, and then 2 years at Swansea doing chemical engineering. So students will graduate with a degree from Trent in chemistry and a Bachelor of Engineering from Swansea in chemical engineering. So they'll get their Bachelor of Engineering. Students need an 80% minimum to get into the program, and they need a 77% to progress along to Swansea. And graduates will receive a PEng, Professional Engineering designation, with the College of Engineers. And while they're able to work with them to qualify as an engineer in Canada, and we'll evaluate a career path that helps them practice engineering in Canada. So pretty exciting. Medical professional stream may be familiar to some of you. I'm going to touch briefly on that, but then more on the next steps after that. So medical professional stream is a pathway for medical school, for dentistry, optometry, and pharmacy, veterinary as well. So all of those medical pathways, it is open for students in those interested in working in those areas. And it focuses on supporting students to gain successful entry to medical school in such areas as it packages all their courses together to be suitable for medical school. In the first year, it's really geared towards intro sessions about medical school, the timeline of the program. It invites guest speakers to come in and hear you meet with doctors as well. And then in the upper years of the medical school, they focus on application process and the support. So there's MCAT preparation, including a 9-hour mock MCAT test, mock interviews for students in their 3rd year, and one-on-one session with program advisors to help navigate successful placements. So students coming into this program need to have a minimum 80% and graduates of the MPS program with competitive averages of 77% and an MCAT score of 490 or above are eligible to progress to St. George's University School of Medicine in Grenada, which you will see a picture of on your screen. Or students can progress on to the School of Medicine, the University of Medicine and Health Sciences in St. Kitts, or Trinity Medical Sciences University in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So each school offers slightly different admission requirements, but all the details can be found at trentu.ca/pre-medical studies, which you'll see on your screen. So great opportunities for students to, after their undergrad, go on to medical school in other parts of the world and still come back and practice in Canada and many places in the States as well. Criminology. Criminology is something that we've been offering for a few years, but it has changed slightly for us at Trent. So right now, we are going to be offering it as a full year degree. This degree is partially online and partially in person, and a program really promotes change from the inside of the system. The courses range from aging and sociology and gender, sexuality and the social criminalization of women, sociology of education, crime and society, homelessness, social policy, and sociology of the body. So lots of interesting courses for students to take there. Students can complete a full year work placement within the community organizations and agencies, including Correctional Services in Ontario, the Crown Ward, Crown Attorney, Kawartha Halliburton Children's Society, the Elizabeth Fry Society, Canadian Mental Health, or the Youth Emergency Shelter. So apart from this full 4-year degree, partially online, partially in person, we do still offer the specialization in criminology within sociology that you may have been familiar with in the past. So if people wanted to go that route, we do have two options for them. And that one is fully in person. So if a student prefers to study fully in person, then perhaps the specialization in criminology within sociology is the right fit for them. Kinesiology is always really popular for students, and we were very excited to be able to offer it as a 4-year full degree at our Trent Peterborough campus. Admission requirements are 75% with a chemistry and a physics. So we also want to share that it really is a focus on human performance across the lifespan and aging. So not just for high performance athletes, this is for all forms and all ages of people. It includes physics, sociology, psychology, and of course, kinesiology courses. It's really in the second year that students start to focus in their kinesiology classes. And in the 4th year, there's research and clinical practicums. Students are able to choose which route they would like to go on that. And it does have very strong ties to the athletics complex at the Trent Peterborough campus. That's where our labs for the kinesiology program are located. And finally, I wanted to mention for all of our programs at Trent, experiential learning is really important. And through Career Space at Trent, all students are guaranteed to have a career-related experiential learning opportunity before they graduate. And this is offering practical career experiences and access to interview training, resume assistance, and a list of companies that are ready to give real experience. So 100% of our programs offer some form of experiential learning for students, and we're very excited about that. So that brings me to the end of my formal portion. I'm going to now turn it over to two of our faculty representatives that are here with us today, Dr. Stephanie Rutherford and Dr. Stephen Hill, and they're going to share a little bit about what's going on in Trent School of the Education. And I'm going to stop screen sharing here because they might have some slides that they would like to share with us. Do we have Stephen and Stephanie here?
I'm here.
Marvelous. Welcome, Stephanie. And I see Stephen's
Yeah, me too.
name.
Me too.
Okay, marvelous. Well, welcome, Stephanie and Stephen. Thank you for joining us. Tell us all about what's going on in the Trent School of the Environment.
Yeah, not the Trent School of Education. You were wrapped up there in your tongue.
Oh
That's
dear.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm just looking to. Oh, there it is. I'll share the what we have as the view book. I thought we might look at some of the things, because that's what people would see. So Stephanie and I are I'm currently the associate director of the school, and Stephanie was the associate director until July. So you've got both number two people. Our number one person is leading a virtual lab that looks a little bit, normally the students this is the second year lab here, where the students are up in the drumlin doing a forest study. And he set that up, Sean Watmow set that up to run virtually. So Stephanie and I are going to do a bit of a tag team, just to tell you about the School of the Environment. We're young as a school, we're 5 years, but we build on about 50 years of experience in environmental science and studies and geography. So it's those two programs have come together. We've worked together a lot over the years, but now we're formally integrated, and it's been a really productive way to redevelop and rethink about some of our curriculum. The School of the Environment is a large undergraduate program at Trent. We have about 25 full-time faculty and many world-leading researchers and scholars. And so students get what in the environmental sciences and studies and geography, a large university department, but in a small school. And so we think that's useful. We're the first university in Canada that was accredited by the Environmental Careers Organization, which is the human resource arm of the environmental professionals. They make sense of what kind of job needs there are and what sort of requirements are needed for people to be an environmental professional. So they accredited Trent a number of years ago. And we also have a big range, a number of programs that I just want to highlight on the next page here. We have about 700 majors in the school, and it crosses a range of about 13 different degrees. So we have on the left here, it shows the Bachelor of Environmental Science and Studies, and that's a degree that really emphasizes some of the fact that some of our best students are those that can combine both the arts and the sciences together in their degree. So they're able to think about environmental law and think about environmental ethics, and as well do air pollution and environmental chemistry. And so it's really a double major between the environmental arts or the environmental studies and the environmental sciences. And it's a direct entry degree that requires 75% to enter into that. We have also our traditional environmental science degree and our traditional environmental studies degree, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. And so I do emphasize that students can come into these degrees with either of those sort of skill sets or backgrounds. We also have a new degree, or a reasonably new degree in the last 5 or 7 years in sustainable agriculture, both a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science. Students can pursue, questions about why they can't get organic food or why they can't get local food at no frills, to understand the food systems. But they can also start to look at soil science and understand ecological agricultural practices. So we have an experimental farm on campus that students use. So that sort of thing. Also, we have a strong partnership with the Indigenous Studies program with the Wenjack School, which is the Indigenous Environmental Studies and Indigenous Environmental Sciences degree. It's one of the first in North America that really brings together the environmental sciences, the Western way of understanding science in the world, with an Indigenous worldview or Indigenous knowledge and teachings. And so an incredibly powerful degree for both Indigenous students and settler students. A new degree that we have is the Environmental Geoscience, and that's a professional designation, a great degree in terms of a lot of field work, hands-on field courses, and really practical work in both environmental remediation and in mining. It's led by Ian Power, who's a Canada Research Chair in using mines to sequester carbon. So a fantastic research area, and I know that that's this term, those students have been in the field. We've had to go through all sorts of COVID protocols to make sure that those students can have a hands-on field experience to do that. And the last degree I just mentioned to highlight is I know we have all sorts of, the climate science option is really innovative and neat, but the Ecological Restoration Program, which is a 2+2, a joint degree with Fleming, that the people who teach in that describe it as the science of hope, of repairing and restoring the degraded environments and ecosystems that we have. And so I think it's a fantastic degree, really important and innovative program. I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie because she was going to talk about some of the things that students can actually do in these degrees.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so I think the School of the Environment has a really long history in emphasizing experiential opportunities. And I find whenever we do the open houses and stuff, that's always what parents and students are asking about. And in fact, I think we're number one in terms of providing those experiential opportunities to students, both in the classroom. So, you know, as you see in the view book, going out to do a lab on the drumlin or in the river and those sorts of things. But we also have a whole series of more structured experiential learning opportunities for students to get to become involved in. And so we have a community-based research course where a number of students, and we're doing this year, we're managing to do it this year in COVID as well, where students get to do research for a local community organization that is useful to them and is useful to the student in terms of getting some real life experience and professional experience, but it also allows them to gain academic credit for that experience. And so we have a range of students involved in a whole series of projects this year, from Kawartha Conservation and Kawartha Land Trust, the city of Kawartha Lakes, and very transition town Peterborough, lots of students doing really interesting and useful research for community partners. We also have internship and placement courses across our degrees, where again, students can gain this professional experience for academic credit. Sometimes those placements are paid, sometimes, mostly I think they are not, but they do receive academic credit for their completed work. And so, for instance, I supervised one of these for the sustainable agriculture degree, where a student worked at an apiary for the summer and got academic credit for it. So she wrote a bunch of papers, but she also worked at the apiary, helping them with their bees and so on. And those are offered across the full range of our degrees. And then we have things that are sort of more tailored to the individual student. So we have reading courses where you can, you know, partner with an individual faculty member on a topic of your interest and do a reading course with, you know, a one-on-one sort of experience. And then we have a really robust history of students completing honors theses, both on the sciences and the art side. And Steve and I generally supervise at least one of these per year. And this is available to students in the final year of their program that are interested in completing a year-long research project on a specific topic with a faculty member. And we run a course that sort of provides the scaffolding around that. And then we also have field courses, right? So those most often happen in the summer. They're 2 or 4 weeks. And it allows students, you know, it'd be different this year under COVID, but it allows students to sort of get out into the field and really stretch their scientific expertise. So that's me on experiential learning. Steve, I think you were going to talk about some facilities.
Yeah, the best field course is the one to the Caribbean, environmental issues in the Caribbean, and capped at 15 students, and it's very popular. But yeah, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, and it's in part because it's you know, good students are really important to our research and our work too, right, and to the community. So that's there's the opportunities are there because those students are needed. They're important. I just want to mention some of the fact that we have. I think we've alluded to the fact that we have. You know, obviously the campus itself is on the banks of the Otonabee River, and we have 1,400 acres of natural areas, and we use those. So we can then go out in a lab to actually do some of this work in the field. It's always fun to look at these. I'm looking at the view book. It's always fun because you can recognize some of the students and the people in the pictures, and you you see them. Anyways, we have the Water Quality Center is really one of the world leading places to do the detection of chemicals in the environment. It's mass spectrometers that are millions and millions of dollars. And so we have the facilities and the people that do that work that are here at Trent that you know are available to students within, especially in their upper year research. The wind tunnel is in the geography unit and is very much about understanding how wind dynamics and boundary layers affect the surface of different geological formations. Greenhouses on campus, the natural areas themselves, the experimental farm. On the roof of the environmental science building is actually the green roof, or the agricultural. There's a set of crops right there. The picture on the top right with Dan and the green hat has all sorts of vegetables that are growing, and those end up in then the seasoned spoon. The experimental farm itself also has a market garden that the sustainable agriculture students run, and they last summer were selling those vegetables at the downtown market. I think they finally made money this year, so that was also useful. So all of these, and then the Oliver property, the Oliver station up on Pigeon Lake is about a 100-acre property just at the north end of Pigeon Lake, a tremendously useful site for field work. So we have all of these facilities, and we make use of them at the undergraduate and also the graduate level.
I think that's my cue to talk about graduate programs, right? Very quickly.
Yeah.
We just wanted to highlight that there's a number of graduate pathways at Trent for students who take a variety of undergraduate degrees in the School of the Environment, both science and social science. So we have an accelerated master's program in the environmental and life sciences MSc program. And so students, very strong students in undergrad in their fourth year, who want to be sort of job ready in a quicker time period, can do this accelerated MSc program where they do their thesis in fourth year, but it sort of transitions right into an MA program with the same faculty member supervising both, right? And so they take a graduate course in their fourth year, and then they transition right into a master's program that they will complete somewhere between 12 and 16 months. And so it's a much quicker way to get job ready. We also have the Bioenvironmental Monitoring and Assessment degree, which has both a 1-year course option and a 2-year thesis option, both with professional experience and placements to be job ready in this area too. And on the arts side, both Stephen and I are involved in the Sustainability Studies master's program that is this interdisciplinary, really lively and dynamic degree program that explores the relationship between environmental sustainability, economic prosperity, and social responsibility. And we have a lot of very community-oriented students who come out of our undergraduate program who end up in the master's program and do amazing work in Peterborough and beyond.
We're almost done. We wanted to tell Stephanie, do you think maybe we should just pass it on back to the team? Would that be okay for you guys? Yeah. We were going to tell about a couple of stories of students, but I'll use the photo you used earlier, Sasha, which is the forensic house was designed. Part of the embodied carbon design was by Chris Magwood, who did his master's in sustainability studies, and so I got to supervise all the work on the embodied carbon inventory that Chris Magwood did. In designing that.
I just have to brag about one of my students too then, which is Victoria Kaser, who did her undergrad in the BESS program, has gone on to she's in the middle of her law degree at the University of Victoria, and she's working on the LaRose climate case, which is the case where the teenagers, high school students, are suing the government of Canada for they say that their charter rights have been violated, and the future of Canada's children has been compromised because there's no real action on climate change. So we have amazing students, and it's an absolute pleasure to work with them.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, back to you guys. I can't stay. I've got to go back to my class that a guest lectures in.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Stephanie, for that great update. Also awesome to know what your students are up to. Stephanie, if you're available to stick around, there may be questions at the end, and we're happy to hear you brag more about your awesome students. Stephen, thank you. Good luck with the rest of your class. Okay, that's perfect. Now I would like to take this opportunity to turn it over to our head and dean of the Durham campus, Dr. Scott Henderson, and he's going to share about a couple of new programs at that campus.
Great. Thanks so much, Sasha. I'm I'm here on our beautiful campus. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but it's always sunny here in Durham in front of our new building. And I'm sitting, our students who are in residence have dubbed the green space in front the meadow. So I guess it looks like I'm sitting in the meadow here as I talk. And Sasha already talked about a few of our programs, you know, the policing community well-being, the journalism and creative writing program. But the new logistics and supply chain management really fits with this new program development that we have here in Durham, where we're really focused on community. So that policing program and putting students out in the community is part of that. Child and youth studies, we constantly have students in the community. Social work, they're out there. Our psychology students who work with Ontario Shores, right? Our business students who are out with, you know, entrepreneurial opportunities, working with the city and the region and the City Idea Lab, right? And the Teaching Cities project. There's so much going on where we have people out in the community. So logistics and supply chain management fits directly with that. For those who don't know me, I'm actually a Trent alum. I was at Trent, I was 80, class of 84 from Champlain College. And I went on and did film studies and popular culture. And popular music is one of my big areas. So it seems unusual that here I am dabbling in things like supply chain management. But I was always inspired by National Film Board founder John Grierson, because he always wanted to make films so that you would learn everything about everything. And I feel like that's what I'm kind of doing when I go out in the community. So I arrived a year and a half ago, started meeting people in the Durham community, and one of the areas that kept coming up for jobs and a real demand for graduates was in the logistics field, right? That became even more evident when we got into the pandemic and we were all hunting for toilet paper, because we realized how important the supply chain is to a functioning economy and how vital and how complex it can be. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about this degree, is that we're looking for students here who are ready to kind of step into positions of responsibility in supply chain companies. But it's about purchasing, planning, production, logistics, distribution. It's about a global economy. There's so much to understand in the supply chain. I mean, we have a partner university, Hochschule Koblenz in Germany, with the Rhine-R campus. They have a logistics program. And oddly, they're at the other end. They're right on the Rhine. So they've got stuff that's coming from Asia through Europe along the Rhine and out to the ships that then head across the Atlantic. We're here at the other end with the Port of Oshawa, where ships are unloading onto trains and trucks. And Durham has become an absolute hotspot of logistics hubs. So since we started developing this program, and I'd like to think it's because we did, but it's more, you know, happenstance, but Amazon is now opening 2 distribution centers, one in Whitby, and they're building a brand new one in Ajax. Gordon Food Service has opened just an absolutely mammoth building. If anyone's ever gone to the Costco in Ajax, I always thought Costco's were big. And then there's absolutely giant facility behind it for Gordon Foods that handles food distribution. We worked very closely with Mackey Logistics, so Mackey Moving, which you, I'm sure, see their trucks everywhere. It was fascinating for me. We went to their warehouse and found one, they move Harley Davidsons across the country. So you custom order or, you know, or buy a used Harley and it moves around. But they do things even like, you know, the Scarborough Town Center Santa Claus display. So there was like 2 rows in this giant warehouse of giant deer heads and then things like this for the Santa Claus display. And we got talking about what logistics involves. Do they need university graduates? Because I was wondering, you know, where would a program like this fit in? And they were absolutely convinced, yes, there are jobs out there for university grads. They really need people in this field. There are a lot of college programs and they often slot into specific roles within the supply chain, but they were looking for people who could do that comprehensive work. And what they told me was right now, the graduates that they're looking for and pulling from are often engineering graduates who have that project management experience, who have those broad analytical and critical skills in order to solve the kind of complex problems. And they're complex. I mean, they talked about moving things like MRI machines into hospitals. When you're replacing an MRI machine, it's not something you carry up the stairs, right? It's not something that can stay out of service for a long time. So basically they have to plan peeling away the wall of a hospital, loading this giant machine in, because it's not something that can be broken into parts, resealing the wall, closing off the streets, and getting out in an overnight move. And they talked about the length of planning that kind of thing takes. So it's quite a complex degree. It touches on elements that are akin to engineering. And there are the jobs out there. There's very few other programs. I mentioned the German one. There's 2 others in Canada, University of Quebec in Montreal and Thompson Rivers University, that offer actual undergraduate degrees. It shows up in specializations at places like Dalhousie and McGill, but as corollaries to other degrees, shows up in MBAs. So we were convinced that definitely there is a space for this degree. There's a need for the graduates, and there are companies hungry to hire. So it's a program that's going to involve a whole mix of business administration courses, computer science, economics courses, right? Math is in there. So in terms of requirements for students coming in, right, we are looking at at least one of MHF4U or MCV4U, but we strongly recommend students come in with both, right? This is a degree that's very quantitative in nature, right? There's a lot of particularly data crunching, right? It really is about the use of big data. It's about, the understanding of, project management aspects that are in here. It's about spreadsheets. It's about tracking, and it's about just-in-time delivery. So that great deal, as I say, complexity is important. So students will come in, as they say with us, we've got some specially dedicated courses. So operation management for the supply chain, transportation and logistics management, procurement principles, things like Lean Six Sigma and international logistics, all parts of this program that will make it unique, combined with courses that we've drawn in economics, in computer science. So again, the big data stuff that's available there. Some of our business admin courses that were already focused on operations. And then key to this will be kind of an embedded, to me, this is just part of now the Trent Durham DNA. We want every program to have an experiential component, and a very meaningful one. So you'll notice that the programs we're developing, again, Sasha pointed to things like journalism with an internship, policing community well-being, which has a lot of placements. This program has an internship in its 4th year, a capstone course internship. But building up to that, there'll be lots of small projects and lots of interaction with the local industry, with the local partners that we have, as well as hands-on courses. So enterprise resource planning software, or let's see, I'm a film guy, SAP ERP. There's lots of fun. I learned that students can become Scrum Masters. Who knew that anyone can become a Scrum Master in project management? But so I'm picking up all sorts of fun new terms and learning everything about everything. But we want to build these components into the program so that our students can step out and into those roles of oversight in this industry, because that's the gap that employers were identifying. They can fill some of the roles along the way, but trying to find people who have an overarching understanding, can analyze and solve these problems, and keep the supply chain moving and keep us in toilet paper, I guess, during any pandemic, is really, really significant. So that's how the program is kind of built. Students who are interested in things, I would say students who are interested in engineering, perhaps students who have strong math and computing skills, students with an inclination towards business but don't want to give up that kind of aspect that they have of the math and the computing. This is a perfect fit. I mean, this is a current and growing business. And I mean, one, we're focusing at Trent Durham because it's an unreal explosion out here. I mean, because we're on the doorstep of the GTA, because we have a freshwater port in Oshawa, right? Because we have very good transport access, right? The west end of the GTA is getting clogged up. The east end of the GTA, anyone who's driven back and forth, even up to Peterborough, knows that it's much, much better out here. So I know that Oshawa recently developed some new land south of the 401, right? close to the former GM lands, and I think they built 15 units. 13 immediately were filled by logistics-based companies. That's how rapidly it's growing out here. So a real good link for jobs for students, interesting jobs, and clearly, as the pandemic has shown, in a part of the economy that's integral, right? This is, a part that has continued and has continued to have importance. So I think a very useful and unique degree, I think, where students will be able to, have opportunity and have opportunity for growth because of its kind of wide remit of economics and business, computing. There's lots of areas to find one's niche within there as well, while picking up those valuable skills. So that's scheduled to start next September. We're really, really excited by this. Another program I've, very excited to be developing or redeveloping. We have communication and critical thinking on our campus, and I'm currently revamping this into a true 4-year honors communications program, because communication is everywhere, right? Because I teach film and pop culture, I've often taught in areas of communication, and I have a lot of parents, students who ask me, well, what kind of jobs? And I always feel like I'm, it's too facetious an answer, but it's a true answer: any job. Because there's not an industry now where communications is not absolutely vital, right? Whether it's internal communications and communicating with employees. Again, the pandemic just underlines this. While we're sitting here on Zoom, we're using a communication technology. And we know that Zoom and lots of other software providers are constantly adapting. How can we communicate so that we can have sidebar chats running, we can have emojis popping up, we can have breakout sessions, we can share screens, which I've not done today. Instead, I wanted to showcase our beautiful backdrop of our campus. This is exactly why communications is vital. So we're working to have 2 specializations within there. One will be on business communication, and that can be internal or external. That can be as HR, and that can be working with employees, as much as it can be external, which can be the marketing and communication side of any business. So we're developing some unique courses to add to what we have already in the program. So we'll have an introduction to communication studies, nice foundation, some communication theory in there, but then we've got stuff on digital communication. We have marketing courses. We have communication for organizations. I'm currently developing a course on crisis communication, right, which is absolutely vital for any company to respond. And how do you get out ahead of any kind of urgent issue? Crisis communication is a niche unto itself, and we want to embed that in there. In addition to the business communication specialization, we're also going to offer media relations, which again, and you can tell that there's a nice overlap here, right? Some students do move towards the media relations, and there's some affinity even with our journalism program for those who don't necessarily want to go fully into journalism. So we're going to have an events management course in there, right? So, people like Sasha, who I always call, these are communication professionals. These are people who are working with the public and understand how to, whether it's working with the media, whether it's getting out ahead of a story, whether it's creating content, we want to kind of develop these skills as well. So it'll be a nice core thread in that honors degree of understanding the history and theory of communication, why it works, why it's just as important. And I've done work on looking at 1890s cinema and the origins of cinema and the origins of digital communication, right? The people I think know the first YouTube video was me at the zoo, and I don't mean me, right? We're talking, the founders of YouTube who created a video at the zoo. One of the very first films ever made by the Lumiere brothers in France was them at the zoo, right? History repeats itself, right? We develop technologies to communicate and tell our stories and about our lives. And maybe if we understand some of that history, we become very adept at using all of the emerging technologies. And I just feel in the last 10, 15 years, I've been talking about whether it was MySpace, Facebook, right? Yik Yak, if anyone remembers the short-lived Yik Yak, Snapchat, right? Now we're on to TikTok. We don't know what's coming next, but if we instill these skills in students, right, as they go on and work in these industries, they become adept at handling whatever new technology comes along, whatever the next TikTok is. they'll be there to utilize it and make the best use of it, because they'll have that grounding and that understanding. So again, these are skills that don't go away. These are flexible skills. They open doors in all sorts of industries. So, and again, we will have, we have a great capstone course currently. It will continue. The students are working this year with the city of Oshawa, and they are working on the cultural industries in Oshawa coming out of the pandemic. So how can they revitalize those industries, but how are they a key part of the recovery economy? And they will be working very closely with the city on what the city needs to do to enhance those industries and what the wider economic benefits are to a strong cultural industry in Oshawa. So again, we try to get students to utilize their range of skills in these capstone hands-on courses out in the community. And I think that's going to be a big part of Trent Durham going forward, is that community connection. So I'll hand it back to you, Sasha. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Scott. That was a great update. And yes, we do have one question. The question that came in was asking about, have we considered building this program as a BBA program? What was the rationale between making it a BA, BBA?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one we puzzled over, and the primary reason is because the BBA has more requirements in it. And by the time you merge all the requirements in supply chain management with the requirements one needs to meet the criteria for a BBA, it would not give students flexibility in their program. And to me, that's at the heart of the Trent experience. I mean, when I say, go back to the Grierson, everything about everything, as a Trent grad, I had flexibility in my program. I did a joint major in English and history, but I got courses in philosophy and psychology and political science, right? I was pulling from all over the map. I think that's so important as part of the Trent experience. My standing joke is I talk about accounting. I say accountants will eventually have to account for something. And they need to have other skills. They need to understand that it's not just crunching numbers. Those numbers mean something. And what's the context of those numbers? So we're very wary of constructing programs that are too rigid and don't give students flexibility, because the reality of the job market is you're always going to have to flex, and you're going to have other skills, whether you consider those critical skills or soft skills or different pockets of knowledge that one has. I think that's really important. So we are talking about adding a specialization within the BBA where students can pick up some of the supply chain management skills. We don't want to exclude the BBA students, but a kind of merging, I think, would make it just too restrictive for students and not equip them for a constantly changing economy.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. I know you're running to another meeting right now, so we really appreciate you joining us this morning and right down to the last minute giving us this update. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
And thanks everyone for joining us. Bye-bye.
Sasha, I was wondering if we want to take this opportunity to answer a couple of the other questions in the chat as well. I know we're a little behind schedule on the agenda, so I would just hate to not be able to answer those questions if anyone had to leave early. I know there was a question just about the research opportunities in the medical professional stream program, so I thought I would give a couple of examples. Yes, there are definitely research opportunities. They're tied to the degree, so the major that the student chooses, gene expression, biomaterials, genomics. So Dr. Aaron Schaefer is one of the foremost experts on genomics. There is a biomarker identification research as well that's being done, and there's also placement opportunities. So if they choose their major in biomedical sciences, there are placement opportunities that they can do as well. So lots of hands-on opportunities in that program and all of our programs as well. And then there was also one quick question just about the vet pathway, the veterinary pathway. Yes, we still have the veterinary pathway agreement with St. George's University. Students that complete their degree with a 75% average and score 300 on the GRE, which is the Graduate Record Examination, they can move into that pathway into veterinary sciences at St. George's.
Kevin, do you know the approximate cost of the medical program in St. Kitts? I know it's somewhat new, so I'm not sure if I have that data.
I can grab that pretty quickly. There is a fairly large scholarship that was also developed for that program. Let me get that for you.
One of the beautiful things about being at a primarily undergraduate university is that students in their third and fourth years are able to do a lot of research with faculty. And I know faculty hire a lot of summer students over the summer to work on research with them or their own research as well. And at some larger schools where there are so many more master's students, PhD students, those opportunities don't really exist to undergraduate students. So I do feel that's a great value for students that want to head off into professional designations. Starting at a primarily undergraduate university like Trent gives them the advantage that they might not get at a larger institution. So I'm always positive when students say, oh my goodness, if I want to go into medicine, do I have to start at a school that offers medicine as a graduate program? No, definitely you do not. It's about how successful you are in the program in your undergraduate, that you're getting those MCAT scores, that you have a professor who knows you, knows your capabilities in the lab and in the classroom in order to be able to write great reference letters for you and to be able to offer you that MCAT support like the medical professional stream does. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of starting at a smaller school for professional designations there.
I'm just pulling up that agreement, but I can add that information into the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kevin. I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Lee now, and she's going to bring us a little bit of information about what's shaken in Trent International.
You're on mute, Jess.
Okay, actually, I was going to say, I'm not sure why my PDF is, my PowerPoint is still loading. And so Eliza, would you like to go first? And then I'll go after you.
Sure, yeah, I can jump in. I'll just share my screen here. All right. So my name is Eliza Nicholson. I'm the manager of admissions here at Trent. So excited to be joining you this morning to give you some information on how admissions is working here at Trent. So right now, applications are open for our 3 start terms on UAC. So students can apply for January, summer, or September 2021. As we are here with Ontario guidance counselors, I know that almost all of your students are starting in September. However, especially this year, seeing how there's a different course format, there may be more opportunities for some of your students to begin programs in January or in the summer if they wanted to get a head start. So for a January start, high school courses must be completed by the end of December. So if you have any students who are just coming back to complete maybe 1 or 2 courses and they are going to have those done early, they may want to reach out to us about a January start. In the summer, we have courses starting in May and June. So as long as courses are completed by the end of May, a high school student could begin courses here as early as June. Many of our programs do have a September only start. All of that information can be found on the application when the students are applying. I did want to point out that we do have some videos on our website. So I've included the URL here for trentu.ca/applying. If any of your students are struggling with using the UAC application, there's some videos there on each stage of the UAC application. And there's also some videos on the frequently asked questions we get about that application. So questions like, does the ranking of the program choices matter? The answer is no. So all of those are addressed on that website. So it would be a great resource for your students. Once students apply to Trent, what happens next? So within a couple of days of them completing that UAC application, we do send them an email that includes their Trent ID number and a link to activate their My Trent portal. We do ask that they complete that link and activation as soon as possible, because that's where they can track the status of their application. As soon as they have an offer to Trent, they'll be able to see it there. If there are any required documents that we need for the program that they applied to, they can see what we need. It's also a great place for them to retrieve any email communications that have come out from admissions. We actually store them there in an icon called email history. I wanted to point out a few My Trent portal forms that your students may be interested in using. The first two are optional, so the intention to upgrade is to be used by any applicants who are going to be taking a course over the summer, or perhaps they're taking a course outside of their regular day school. So these are courses that are not going to be on our radar because you have not entered them on UAC. So students can let us know. That way, if it's a prerequisite for a program that they're applying to, we can still consider them for a conditional offer. The extenuating circumstance form is for applicants who have had circumstances that have impacted their grades, and they want to express that to the admissions committee. So this form can be used by any applicant. It's for applicants who show potential and have a temporary drop in some of their grades, and they want to explain why those courses have had lower grades. Something that may especially be useful to a lot of students this year, seeing how they have had their school year impacted, a lot of them at the end of their grade 11 year, and a different course format for grade 12. I'm going to get into it in a bit more detail soon, but I did want to stress that students are not being negatively impacted by the format that they're currently experiencing in their schools. So this is just one opportunity for them to explain something to the admissions committee. We don't have a lot of programs that have additional profiles or essays due. So most programs admission is based on grades. I did want to point out that the medical professional stream has an autobiographical sketch, and computing systems co-op does have an applicant essay. These forms are both available on the My Trent portal for students who apply to those programs, and they're both due February 1st. I wanted to chat a bit about our admission timelines. So we are receiving grades from UAC in late November, again in late February, in May, and then we also get final grades mid-July. This year, the November 27th grades can contain in-progress grades as well. So we will actually have some grade 12 data a bit earlier than we have had in past years. So that could be an advantage to some of your students, that we are able to see those grade 12 marks. We can still look at their grade 11 grades as well. So we wanted to stress that to students. If they're asking about what we're using, we can look to their full overall grade 11 average, and then we can look at the final or in-progress grades for grade 12 as well. We begin early offers for select programs in early December. January 15th is the deadline for applications. Across Ontario, schools can start to close certain programs. Many of our programs will remain open after that date, but if students are applying to some of those competitive CAP programs, they want to ensure they've applied by that deadline. February is the deadline for any of those additional forms we have for some of the programs like nursing. A CASPER test is required, medical professional stream, and computing systems co-op. Because we have those forms due for those programs, those offers do not go out until March. So if you have a student who's applying to nursing, they will have to hold tight, and we wait until we get the CASPER scores, and we take that into consideration along with their grades. But a lot of your students at this point, if they've applied early, they will be wondering about those early offers. So again, starting in December, and we are looking for those high flyers, and we are taking both the grade 11 and the grade 12 grades we have at that time into consideration. I did want to stress that we at Trent will defer admission decisions as we receive grades. So we're every time we receive grades, we are reevaluating that application for the programs that your students have applied to. We are not going to reject an applicant for any program if their grades are still in progress. We will simply defer that decision until a later date. And we can do that right up until July when we receive the final grades. And at that point, if a student still really wants to come, they do have the opportunity to upgrade over the summer. As I mentioned earlier, students are not going to be negatively impacted. So a lot of students are concerned right now. their grade 11 and their grade 12 year has been impacted by the current pandemic. Some of them are doing their courses in a quadmester format. At our fall preview, I heard from a couple of students that are doing an octamester, mentioning that they're just taking the one course at a time. Because we get grades consistently from UAC and we are evaluating every time we get those grades, a student is not going to have a negative impact on their offer to Trent. So I know there may be questions in the Q&A after, but just wanted to put that out there. Alternate offers. So at Trent, we have a lot of competitive CAP programs, and we automatically consider those applicants for an alternate offer if they're not in the competitive average range. We do have a website, I listed it here, trentu.ca/alternate offer. It has a lot of great information on why a student may have received an alternate offer and on what they can do with that alternate offer. All of those alternate offer programs do allow for a later entry into the initial program of that student's choice. So they can always apply, if they've applied to nursing and they got an alternate offer to honor science, they can use that year to take those courses and work towards transferring into nursing for their second year at Trent. The final alternate offer program I wanted to mention is the Fleming and Durham General Arts and Science University Transfer Programs. This is an excellent foundation program for students who do not meet the minimum admission requirements at Trent. So it is a 1-year, 2-semester program, and it's offered both at Fleming and Durham. And it allows the students to gain that foundational knowledge and then transfer to Trent with up to 5 transfer credits. So they're actually beginning in year 2 after completing this program. The courses were designed with Trent faculty, and they are earning credits in psychology, sociology, philosophy, writing, and the arts. So what will happen in July is if we cannot offer a student admission to Trent, we automatically consider them for these 2 programs without them having to apply through OCAS to an Ontario college. All right, so that wraps up the admissions presentation. I can pass it over to Jess, and I will be around to answer all of your questions right up until the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Eliza. I am happy to share with you about Trent International. So,
What is your
here we go. At Trent University, we have just over 1,000 international students who are currently studying at various levels. We currently have 1,000 undergraduate students who are pursuing their bachelor's degree. We also have students who are completing their master's and PhD and graduate programs, as well as students who are in our Trent ESL program. And to give you an understanding of where students are coming from, the top 10 countries of citizenships where international students are coming from are from India, China, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Kenya, Pakistan, Vietnam, Ghana, the US, and Iran. And we have international students from 100 countries. In terms of international admissions, we follow what Eliza mentioned about, but I would also like to highlight our proof of English proficiency. We generally do ask for proof of English proficiency if a student has not studied here in Canada for 3 years. And within the 3 years, they must not have any ESL 2. So if there is, say, ESL C, D, and E within the past 3 years, we will ask for proof of English proficiency. And here are the following English tests that we do accept. And it ranges anywhere from IELTS to TOEFL to CALE to Duolingo as well. To apply to Trent University, we do encourage students to use the 101. However, we do understand that there are some students who may not fit the 101 category. And in some cases, guidance counselors have used the 105 application, and that's fine. I would also like to highlight that we have a direct application to Trent University, and it's $90. So it's a little bit more affordable than using the 105 application if Trent is the only university that they are considering. And while we do encourage students to apply by June 1st for the September deadline, we do ask that students who are here within Ontario adhere to the 101 deadlines so that we are able to process them together with the rest of the applications. And for international students, they're also able to use their MyTrent portal to upload their transcripts. So for example, if they have a high school transcript from O-levels that they did in Russia, and they're now here for grade 12, and they would like to upload the O-level results, they're able to use the MyTrent portal to do that. They're also able to upload their proof of English proficiency on the MyTrent portal too. Finances and scholarships for international students. We get asked, what is Trent's tuition fee for international students? Quite a bit. And I'm pleased to let you know that our tuition fee is one of the lowest tuition fees among all the other universities in Ontario. So currently the international tuition fee is at $22,454, and we're asking students to budget anywhere between $36,000 to $42,000 per year. What's different for international students when it comes to entrance scholarships is that our entrance scholarships are one time only. Instead of having a renewable entrance scholarship for international students, it's one time. However, they have the option of applying for our in-course scholarships. So in this way, for students who are coming in without an entrance scholarship, there is the option for them to gain an in-course scholarship should they perform well at Trent University. And for those who maintain their grades, they're able to apply for the in-course scholarships to continue to obtain further funding too. Another scholarship that I would like to bring to your attention would be our Trent International Scholarships and Awards, where your students are able to apply and receive up to $100,000 in scholarships over 4 years. Now, these scholarships are renewable for an additional 3 years. And so students are encouraged to apply by February 15th for the September intake. For this September, we were so excited to welcome students from all across Ontario who came into Trent on the Trent International Scholarships and Awards. And this gives you an idea of where the students' country of citizenships are from, which program that they're entering, the amount of funding that they're receiving from Trent University, and the schools that they're from. So as you can tell, we invest in students. And so I mentioned a little bit about our in-course scholarship, but Trent International offers a range of additional financial aid for current students as well. Support for international students, we have our own international orientation that complements the Trent University orientation. We also do an airport pickup for new students. We have our international student advisor who is able to provide both academic and immigration advising to students. We have workshops and activities throughout the year. We also have a global ambassador program, a virtual front desk, and a job subsidy program that supports the hiring of international students across campus. In fact, one of my international students, Ankit, he participated in the program, the field course program, where he went to Barbados and studied for 2 weeks with his professor in the environmental program, and he absolutely loved it. So while he was working for me, he was saving up his money to be able to go to Barbados, and he had such a fantastic time and a great learning experience too. In addition to that, the Trent International student body are actively involved on campus, and they are involved in student groups. They're also involved in student governance and more. I would also like to quickly highlight our Trent ESL program, where we offer 4 intakes for students to begin their Trent ESL program. And there are 5 levels. So students are able to gain a conditional offer into an undergraduate program upon completion of the Trent ESL program. And we also do offer direct entries into the different levels. So if a student has an IELTS score of 6.0, they're able to study with us for 1 term in the Trent ESL program and begin their undergraduate studies after. Trent International also oversees the study abroad program. And all in all, we offer students the option of heading to over 35 countries, and they're able to go abroad in their 2nd year, 3rd year, or 4th year. And there are scholarships and bursaries available as well. So please connect with us, and we would love to also connect with you and your students. We're currently doing virtual school visits, so if you're interested in having one of the enrollment advisors to meet your students and connect with your students, please let us know. We also have a virtual front desk that runs from Mondays to Fridays, and we're also holding virtual meetings with the international enrollment advisors who are able to provide language support in Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, Vietnamese, and also in Hindi. And we are also offering a virtual tour. And I hope that you have all received a copy of our international viewbook in the packages that Sasha had sent. If not, we encourage you to share our international viewbook with your international students so that they're able to learn a little bit more about Trent. And of course, there are also additional ways to connect with us, such as calling us. Our phones are available Mondays to Fridays. You can also email us. You could also get your students to connect with us on Facebook or on Instagram. We'll answer any inquiries there too. So thank you for all of your support from the Trent International Office, and I will open this time up to questions.
Thank you, Jessica. That was great. And thank you, Eliza, for the update. So that brings us to the end of our formal portion. And thank you, Jessica, for flagging the packages that we mailed out earlier this fall. If anyone is requiring more materials, we are happy to send you more materials or more swag for your students. So feel free to let us know. You can contact us anytime. Felicia, I'm wondering if you could put my contact and Eliza's contact into the chat, Sasha Trivet at trentu.ca and Eliza Nicholson at trentu.ca. You can reach out to either of us for questions about recruitment or admissions, anything we can do to help your students. Does anyone have a question for us now, either in the chat or verbally? You can just unmute yourself and ask. We're also interested in knowing if there are any problems that you have that we could help you with, or if you have any suggestions on how we can capture and more connections with your students and reach out to them and connect with them virtually, or inviting them for in-person tours as well. So we're going to open the floor. So please do ask all your questions now. Wow, we're really comprehensive, I guess. Certainly, we are thankful for the time that you have dedicated today, and we know that you're busy and shifting and changing, and your students are sort of discombobulated from time to time. So thank you for all that you do for them. Thank you for promoting Trent to your students, and do keep your eye on your inbox for all of the communications that we'll be sending to you and the contests that we'll be inviting you to participate in as you share information and news about Trent with your students. We're here to help, and we hope things will open up a little bit more, and in the future we'll be able to come back to your schools and visit. We'll be able to do more in-person events and opportunities for your students to reach out to us. But I won't keep you from your busy days. If you need to go, feel free to go ahead. And if you want to stay and ask a question, please do stick around. We'll stay on for a few more minutes for any other questions that you have. Thank you very much.